I like the term that Australia came up with, the e-safety commissioner, because calling it the Reich Ministry of Public Enlightenment and Propaganda, which was ran by Joseph Goebbels, would have been a little bit too much on the nose, wouldn't it? No, seriously, this is why they don't try to teach the actual history of the Nazis, and you only have like the pop culture references and, you know, the fact that the Holocaust was bad, but you don't actually understand how that nation state functions so that you truly can make comparisons with countries today. So let's talk a little bit about the Reich Ministry of Public Enlightenment and Propaganda, ran by Joseph Goebbels, which controlled radio, newspaper publishing, the censorship, anything that was morally corrupting materials, all mass communication, and penalties for violating approved speech norms. But to be fair, even Joseph Goebbels didn't have the audacity to try and censor the New York Times, or American radio, or American TV shows, which is what the e-safety commissioner in Australia absolutely wants to do. And more than that, you know, she probably is paid more than Joseph Goebbels. I looked at the salary. It's around $500,000 per year. Like, that's Australian taxpayer money so that Australians themselves can be censored by this lady. Now, let me tell you why it's very interesting, because a lot of people seem to agree that it's a good thing for the government to do what the Chinese were doing a decade ago, and that is to prevent 16-year-olds from accessing the internet, because parents are absolutely retarded and there's absolutely no hope in trying to even teach parents to parent, and so obviously the e-safety commissioner has to step in. Here's the kicker. BlueSky is not included on that list. Apparently, Pornhub is not included on that list either. They don't get like specific exemptions, but they're not mentioned that they have to comply with the regulations. Like, I want you to understand, okay, like, BlueSky is not included on the list. So, if you have a 16-year-old kid, so if you have a 15-year-old kid, he is not allowed to go on X, but he is allowed to go on BlueSky. Well, actually, you know, this is not even about children, because, like, at the end of the day, it's still adults that will have to dox themselves in order to use the internet, right? Like, you can live alone in a house with no children, and you will still have to dox yourself in order to access the internet. And so, if you want to use BlueSky, well, then it's fine. Like, you don't have to show any type of identification, because BlueSky is already a far leftist indoctrination cesspit, where they have moderators which would kick anyone right off Stalin. So they're not really worried that any conversation that may threaten the status quo in Australia will happen there. Meanwhile, if you want to go on Elon Musk's platform, well, then the Reich Ministry of Public Enlightenment and Propaganda, run by the e-safety commissioner, is definitely going to force you to show who you are, so that if you say anything naughty, it doesn't cost the government too much money to find out where you are and then find out your entire media history. And then the government doesn't even have to try and lock you down. They can just flag your ID or flag your face, and then you can't make an account anywhere. You're basically becoming like a child. Isn't that great, right? And people support it. Like, I have nothing but contempt to anyone on X that supports it. And at this point, anyone that says this is about pornography is either a retard, which doesn't warrant any conversation, or is a government shill. I just want to point out that the Reich Ministry of Australian Public Enlightenment and Propaganda already flagged 2 videos on X. The one was the Irina assassination video. The other one was with a migrant that stabbed an Orthodox priest in the eye. And both of those videos generated actual conversation. Like, both of those videos were of public interest. They weren't there, you know, for people to just see gore. No, like, they were there for people to discuss policy, to have a conversation. Is like, our politicians, like, are they doing the right thing? Are they protecting us? Like, do we not warrant better politicians? Both of those videos were taken down by the e-safety commissioner, and the e-safety commissioner is supposed to keep your kids safe if you're in Australia. And not only that, right? Apparently, your kids can just go on BlueSky where those videos don't exist anyway. The moderation is very selective. Or they can just wait until they're 16. And until that point, they can just watch the official Australian broadcasts on television, newspapers, places that are already filled with leftist propaganda. This is something that I also discussed with people from my circle that were supporting this. Because, I myself have no intention in allowing my kid to use social media before I decide that my kid is ready for it. And so whether that's the age of 14, 15, 16, or maybe even 21, or perhaps according to my whims and desires, he's never ready for social media. And then I get to hit him with the famous, as long as you're under my house, you follow my rules. But at the end of the day, I get to decide. It's not the Ministry of Public Enlightenment and Propaganda. And I kept telling my friends, it's like, look, when we grew up, everything was far left. The newspapers, the TV, the movies, the TV shows, the video games, literally everything, just far left talking points. Right-wing talking points not only didn't exist, but they felt revolutionary. Like, when you listen to Sargon of Akkad talk about Enlightenment values in the age of feminism, and talk about the thing that, hold on a little bit, like maybe the men shouldn't be as hated as they are now, it was unironically revolutionary for my generation. Like, I know a lot of you may laugh, but that's the reason why he became so popular and he got millions of subscribers on YouTube, because you literally would not hear those talking points at school, in the household, in the papers. Like, everything he was saying made sense, and it felt like a different way of doing things. And the left was focusing on the different way of not even existing in the public consciousness. And the only place where people could find out about the different way was in cyberspace. Just by logging on and listening to content creators on YouTube, that's what made a lot of teenagers become right-wing. And you even have newspapers now from leftists basically admitting to this and being horrified. It's like, oh my goodness, like the far right, the internet, because they know what happened. And so their solution is to protect children from people like Carl by banning and censoring the internet and basically saying, no, up until you're 16, only state-allowed propaganda is going to be fed to them. They can watch the TV, they can read the papers, they can go to the schools and have like a teacher teach them about the LGBTs before teaching them about the ABCs. And they will have absolutely no knowledge of any alternative viewpoint. And this is something that people from my community are cheering. And they're saying, oh yeah, well, I mean, it's good. Like, why should kids watch porn? And it's like, well, I don't think you're smart enough to understand what's going on if that's what you're saying. I think you're like the type of individual that's begging to be manipulated. It's just like, whatever, it is what it is. At the end of the day, this is the future we're heading to. I will personally never comply with these regulations because I'm not a child. I'm an adult. And so if these types of regulations come in, the way it will work is that social media will force you to dox yourself. And I refuse. I will use VPNs. I will use video game characters. I'm not going to show my government ID in a place where I know that cybercrime exists, that these companies can get hacked, that my information can be made out into the public space. And it's bad enough when you have your user and password being floated around the dark web. But now imagine having your actual social security number, your entire ID, your face floating around. Can you even replace that? Can you even go to the government and demand a new one? I guess it depends on the country you're in. And who's going to be responsible when that happens? Is it going to be the Reich Ministry of Public Enlightenment and Propaganda? No, it's probably going to be, allegedly, the social media platform, right? Which they're not going to care, because they're going to make you sign a TOS that you accept that it can happen, and if it does happen, you don't bitch about it. And so the only people that suffer is the peasantry. And the only people that benefit from this are the establishment. And by the way, just another fun fact, the European Union passed a similar legislation, and guess who's exempt from it? Guess who's exempt from the chat controls? Oh, that's right. The EU MPs themselves. So the people that are basically very concerned about sexual abuse material online and they treat everyone as a potential criminal and guilty until proven innocent, they don't want themselves to be investigated. That's really interesting. Anyway, right, we're getting to head towards very interesting times. I definitely thought that if Trump manages to win in the United States, we're going to get at least a little bit of the 2014 era back, like just a couple of years without censorship. Turns out that I was right, like the Jack Dorsey era is over. The social media cartels have been broken down. Like the age of the internet now is not what it used to be. But it does seem that they have a backup plan. And it's like, okay, well, if the companies aren't going to censor and have our terms of service, then we are going to legalize and normalize censorship, just like the interbellum period. It is what it is. People seem to like it. Well, obviously not everyone, but enough people like it so that there's no huge pushback against it. Let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.